Hello, I'm Jyotika. Welcome back to Excelling Psychology. We have covered in this short series of lessons two concepts, bias and causality, as it applies to a given situation. We are using a common situation across these videos, and today we are going to apply change to the same situation. If you haven't watched the previous videos already you must watch them. I insist, especially the first one, the bias one, because in that I've explained like how I'm going about these lessons. Exactly what are we doing? How is this helping us to learn the concepts that I have explained in the first video? So do watch those videos before coming to this one. In this one, I'm directly getting into the three steps that we always follow: annotating the stimulus, preparing the points, and then seeing how points can be expanded. Before we begin, I want you to know that I'm a private tutor for IB Psychology and I also sell notes for your course. So if you want to book classes with me or if you want to purchase notes, my contact details and store link are available in the description box and pinned comment below. Let's come to the concept of change today. Let's see what are the common points that we can take for change. Change can overlap with causality. That is something I want to address here. So if in the same situation, just again my opinion, no rule as such. In the same situation, if they're asking for causality change, like that, they're giving you four options. I'm talking about question 2b. My recommendation is don't take causality and change for the same one, because differentiating between the two can be a little tricky, and students are not very good at it. So the points tend to overlap and it appears as if the answer is going on, repeating the same points. It doesn't make for a good answer. Good answers are those in which unique critical thinking points are brought about. So if that is the case with you, if you're not able to distinguish different points from causality and change, so please avoid taking both in the same. I'm going to do my best in this video to give you different points from what we had seen in causality. So I will avoid taking things like temporal sequences, which is like very tempting to take in change. I will avoid taking that just to show you a distinction. Only I am bound by, not discussing very unique points. I've told you in the first video only in this series, I'm taking points that are common, that are easy for students to apply. I've prepared the videos from that perspective. So I'm not able to take entirely unique points. Maybe one or two points will overlap with causality. Keeping points absolutely different in the two concepts is very much possible, but that's a different ball game altogether that I cannot take in these videos. I just want to warn you of that before we begin. Same thing is going to happen with measurement also. There's going to be a little bit of overlap with uh, causality because of the controlling, standardization, those type of things. As much as possible, I will give you unique insights in this video. So just keep that in mind and take it as my suggestion that avoid taking two concepts that are having overlapping points. That's why also it is very important to make an outline before writing your final answer. Right now we do one concept at a time, so one concept at a time I make an outline, and I um, advise that you make a similar one. But in the paper, of course, when you're answering 2b, you will make an outline for both the concepts that you're going to discuss before writing the final answer. So that time only note, if there's a clash between points, if there is overlap, avoid taking those two concepts. Switch one of the concepts for another. Okay, that's all I can discuss about that. Now let's come to change. Okay, so let's see what are the common points we can take for change. And just to remind you, these same points can be taken as either strengths or weaknesses. So don't worry about, will they apply to all stimuli? Of course they will, either as a strength or as a weakness. One thing we always consider under changes, if researchers have studied some change in the stimulus in the first place, it is a strength. So is change a part of the investigation? So you can see as on the screen now, I've started making the outline. Some researches we have seen many times, they're just exploratory, right? Quantitative, descriptive research in the major textbook, that is the Oxford textbook, that is in your research methods, one of the first topics you come across: quantitative, descriptive research. No change is being measured in that. So if change is a part of investigation, researchers have shown how something has changed. That by itself becomes a strength because the concept has been directly applied to the situation. And if not, if it's just exploratorily one variable is being studied, the relationship with another variable or cause of one variable uh, producing an effect in terms of the other variable that is being studied, then change is a part of the investigation. That becomes a strength. Of course, if it's seeming abstract right now, very soon I will show you with reference to our situation. So just keep in mind, we're just checking, is change a part of the investigation or not? If yes, it's a strength. If no, it's a weakness because then the concept is not bearing much relevance to the stimulus given. Another thing is what tends to be a strength of change if systematic change is being observed. If random change is being observed, what we call random errors, as you have learned in research methods, then change is not strongly supported. So, one of the things we look out for is systematic change. What we mean by systematic change is because of the introduction of some variable. It does not have to be manipulation. Maybe everyone is being exposed to the same variable. Is there a shift that comes about in most participants? Like on an average, some shift takes place. Then the change is systematic. But if say there's no introduction only of any variable, or say that everyone is just showing random changes, like some people's memory is good, so they're remembering well on the recognition test, other people's memory is not good, then we are not measuring change. We are measuring random errors, which is a detriment to any research. It's never beneficial to any research. So if systematic change is occurring in the situation, it's a strength. If it is not occurring, it is a weakness. Another common point we study in changes, like I told you, it is going to overlap with causality. So is there a cause behind the change that has been attributed? It will be little different how we would expand on it for this situation because we are not looking at it from target of causality, but why we are looking at change is if change like cause is, if cause is certain, we know that this variable is cause behind the other, then that's very strong evidence for change. But if we don't know only what is the cause, like if it is an assumed cause or it's not a properly manipulated cause, then inferring about change can also be difficult because okay, maybe change is coming, but where it is coming from we don't know, so we don't have the source of change in that case. So this I would denote as source of change, but for shorthand or to make it easier to think, causality, is causality there? One more thing we can look out for, and I'm not talking about temporal sequencing here, so please don't confuse with that. It is a timing of change. When is the change occurring? At what point is it occurring? If that is clear, then it is a strength for change. But if it is ambiguous, we don't know when the change happened or how it happened, so then that is going to be a weakness. So we can think of it as the timing of the change should be known for it to be a strength. At this point in the study, we know change occurred. This is the exact moment where change occurred. Regardless of that point is because of something we can take as a cause or not, but this is the point at which change occurs. That becomes a strength. So these are the four most common points that we consider under change. Is it a part of the investigation in the first place? Is it systematic? Is it like a patterned change that we can look at, or is it random? Is there an attributable source of the change? In other words, is there a proper cause that we can know about? And finally, is the timing of the change known? Can we say when the change has occurred exactly? Besides this, there are other points also, like how long lasting the change is. Is it a temporary change or a permanent change? That can be also taken as a good point if you want to like not take causality at all, if you want zero overlap. But like I told you, it goes beyond the scope of this lesson for me to take little unusual points. That point is not very unusual, it's fairly common, but still compared to these ones, it comes a little rarely. So I'm not going into it. But if you're able to think at that level, you can eliminate the source of change or the causality point, and you can directly take the duration for which change was studied, temporary effect or long term effect. It can be an effective point, and if you take that one instead of this, your answer will become entirely different from the causality part of it, like totally different points that you will be taking. Now what will we do next? Now we will annotate the stimulus. In the annotation, we will keep on noting where relevant points are there which we can take for discussion ahead. So researchers wanted to investigate whether schemas influence memory for everyday events. There is a plausible cause over here, some sort of cause they're assuming. Later we get to see whether they manipulated it or not. So can we take it as a positive for change? But there is some indication of cause or source of change. Schemas are being assumed to be the source of change in memory. So then they recruited these many participants and all, and they were told the study examined memory for short films. Each participant watched a 2-minute video of young visiting supermarket to buy groceries. Video included 18 ordinary shopping events but deliberately omitted some common supermarket actions, such as taking a shopping basket or paying with a loyalty card. After watching the video, participants completed a 12-minute Sudoku puzzle to reduce immediate rehearsal. Some amount of control is there. Immediate rehearsal is not being allowed so that only schemas can influence memory and rehearsal cannot influence memory. So, again, this also can come under cause of change. Like to some extent, they have tried to establish schema as a cause by not allowing rehearsal. So, any cause points can come under, source of change. They then answered 40 item recognition test, then answered 40-minute item test. The timing of the change. I told you timing of change can be noted at what point change happens. At what point their memory goes from okay, what they've seen in the video to distortion. When they're answering the recognition test, right? That is the time when the change will be seen in effect at the point at which they're answering the test. Then 20 plausible items, 20 implausible items. For every answer, they also rated their confidence on a 5-point scale. Two researchers scored the recognition test using the same marking guide before completing their test. Again, for causality, we can take any of these points. I'm not marking further. I feel I already have enough points for cause of change. But yes, definitely. Anywhere like interscorer reliability is there, they are preventing subjectivity from influencing the results. So that is a strength. Cause of change becomes stronger because of this. Like more strongly, we can say because of schema, the change must be happening. Or where they are using some standardized marking. All that is very good for cause of change. Okay, then in this case, change results will be helpful because they will help us to compare with the procedure and what we were talking about. The first point, change is part of investigation or not, we'll get to see in the result. We've already seen in the aim they are investigating change on their part, but did it happen in the study? That we'll get to see in the results. So participants recognized an average of 16.8 of the real events, which they will do in the memory test, but also falsely recognized 6.3 supermarket events that had never happened. So yes, there's a change in memory. Change is part of investigation. If the participants would have remembered the supermarket scenario as they had seen it, as is they had written, then no change in memory because anyone will be given something to remember and they remember it as it is. What is the change? It's just rebooting of memory. But because of the schemas, they're remembering something that did not happen. At least researchers are assuming it's because of schemas, but some change is taking place in the memory, right? So definitely there is change as a part of the investigation. Not only researchers were looking out for it in the aims, it's being seen in the result also. There is a change of memory because of whatever took place. The false memory is most commonly involved. Now see the pattern. Most commonly, shopping basket, scanning loyalty card, placing groceries on conveyor belt. Is it random? Is it like one person is remembering aliens were there in the supermarket, another person is remembering that nothing was there in the supermarket, it was totally empty? It's not random. It's not like anything off their mind people are remembering. There's a pattern to what people are remembering. We don't know it's because of schemas or not. We are not sure in that. But most people tend to remember shopping basket, loyalty card, and conveyor belt. There is a pattern means it is systematic change, right? There is a system by which change is occurring. It's a change, it's not random error. That was the point I was making before. Like, supposing 50 items are there on the recognition test, someone is marking 1 2, other one is marking other 2 3. There's a pattern, there's something common between what everyone's remembering, so systematic change is there. The researchers concluded that existing schemas can help people organize memories but may also lead them to remember unexpected events. Okay, that is not relevant right now. Now, what will we do next? We will prepare the outline in a way that can help us in expanding further. So we'll just prepare the outline and keep. Is change a part of investigation? As I pointed out to you just now, just a minute back, yes. Because in the aim also they said they want to see effect of schemas on memory. And in the end, yes, what they had predicted, that because of schemas, people will like remember shopping basket and conveyor belt and all, we do see it in the result also. So change is a part of investigation as evidenced by the results also. We don't know that change is because of schemas or not. But under change, causality is not our concern. Right now, we are not concerned with whether we can establish schemas as a cause. Change is there, that is for sure. It's not just retrieval of memory, it's not factual recall of whatever they saw. There's some change in their memory. They don't remember exactly what they had seen. So, change is there, which is a strength. How I can put it in my outline is change in memory observed during recognition test. It's a strength. Change being a part of the investigation is a strength. What do I mean by change is there in the memory test? They didn't remember the supermarket clip exactly. There's a change between, there's a difference between the clip and what they are remembering. This is a strength. Okay, now coming to systematic change. That is the next point. This I just told you about in the conclusion. Is it in the last result? Is it a systematic change? Yes, for two reasons. One, I forgot to mark. On an average, 6.3 supermarket events that never happened were remembered. On an average, averages come from typical performance, what most people are doing. So most people were remembering the things. This number 6.3 is telling us most people were remembering things like shopping basket, this, that, which was not there in the situation. So that 6.3 score by itself shows there's a systematic pattern to the change. It's not random error. And of course, further, if we look at it, like I told you already, most commonly what they are remembering, shopping basket, there's a pattern to which items they tend to remember. So there is a systematic change. We are again not saying anything about the cause. Students keep on confusing between causality and change. That's why I'm keeping on pointing out. We don't know that this is because of schemas or no. For whatever reason it is there. There is a systematic or patterned way in which they are recognizing items. If there are 50 items on the list, 20 which were actually there on the video, 20 which are plausible, can be there in the supermarket, and 10 which are impossible, cannot be there in the supermarket, they tend to check those. They tend to mark those which plausibly can be there. They don't tend to mark those which are weird, which are just cannot be there in the supermarket. So there's a pattern to the errors which they make. It's a systematic change that is happening, which is a strength, because a systematic change can be called a change. Like I told you, random people are just guessing, someone's marking most absurd things also. That's not a change. That is random error which is taking place. People are not in the mood to answer. They don't want to answer. They're marking off anything. We won't call that a change. So yes, systematic change is there. How I can put it in my outline? Pattern to errors on the recognition test. Like stereotypical supermarket items are being remembered by participants. It is again a strength because there is a definitive change investigated in the study, not random errors. Okay, now coming to causality. If a cause could be established, like let's say if researchers had manipulated schemas and we could say, yes, because of the schema, the change is happening, change would have become very definitive in that case. Yes, because of this thing, change happens. That is not the case here. So this is similar to causality. There is a source of change that researchers are assuming, but there's no manipulation of it, and that is why we will say that no, cause cannot be established. Yes, we can argue, like when we are writing, to some extent, because of the standardization control that I had marked there, they discouraged retrieval practice. They used interscorer reliability. To some extent, schemas can be assumed the cause. But still, this will go under weakness point because it's not definitive. It is not there for sure. That absence of manipulation or control group, which I discussed last time in causality, that is making it impossible to establish schema as the source of the change. So, how will I put it in my outline? Schemas not directly manipulated, source cannot be established, weakness. For those who are planning to keep this completely non-overlapping, you don't want anything same with causality, I give you a point of, you can consider short-term, long-term change. So this is only for those students. If you want to write about short-term, long-term change instead of this, just specify that immediate impact of seeing the video clips, like schema activation is being seen on the recognition test. Whether seeing a video clip will cause a change in the long term, like let's say if they would have called participants after a week, a month, or a year in the laboratory, and then asked them to remember what they'd seen on the video clip, then would their schemas have influenced their recognition? That is something researchers have not investigated. So it becomes a weakness that you can take as an exclusive weakness point of change, that this study is limited to observing only the short term change that can come, assumably because of schemas, on recognition, but not the long term impact of it. Long term change is not a part of this study. Coming to the last point, timing of the change. When does the change happen? It happens during the recognition test, as I had annotated. It's not like from the beginning only, like as soon as participants came, they were told, write what you see in the supermarket. And they wrote there only, and there only the changes happen without any introduction of any video or anything. First, they see the video. That video seems to have some impact. Then, in fact, they do a Sudoku task also. Even that we can include here. They do a Sudoku puzzle. After they complete that puzzle, then we see some changes happening. Researchers are assuming that the Sudoku puzzle is preventing them from rehearsal. That is why the changes happen. But again, we are not getting to causality. We are just pointing out the timing of a change. There's a definitive time at which change takes place. Not right at the beginning of the study, not at the time they're exposed to the video, not at the time they're doing the Sudoku, but at the time that they're giving the recognition test. So there is a timing. Now the question is it a strength or weakness? It will still come under weakness because they should have done what we always say, pre-post assessment. Before they could see the supermarket situation, researchers should have made them write about what is there in supermarket. Ideally, before they could have done the Sudoku puzzle also, they should have made them write what they remember to see how accurate immediately after, their memory is. And then again after Sudoku, and maybe sometime after that also as a follow-up. So 3, 4 assessments should have been there in terms of timing of when the change is coming in memory. That much timing they have not established. Yes, there is a particular timing when the change takes place after the Sudoku puzzle, but there is no time to time observation, like sequential observation of when they are making mistakes in supermarket recall. That is not being observed in this study. So timing is poor, it's a weakness. So how I will put it in my outline is only one time point of studying change, which is like after the Sudoku puzzle, it's a weakness. Staggering change measures have not been taken in this study. So this is what my annotation looks like. Let me show you. And this is what my outline looks like. Now, one point we will develop fully. The first point, change as part of the investigation. Let's develop that one. Okay, so this is about change in memories observed in the recognition test. Okay, so let's revise how we are supposed to expand on points. First, we make a point. First, we see what we want to tell the examiner. What are we going to discuss about in this paragraph? So we begin with one strength is or one weaknesses. One strength is change was directly investigated in this study. Now, And what do we do next? We give evidence. Okay, this is a generic point in any study. Most studies, I can say, change was studied. What change was studied? Where was change studied? The researchers investigated change in recognition of a supermarket situation after exposure to a video clip. So now I've made it specific. I have said, okay, in this situation, this is the change which is being studied. Why is this a strength? So next point always has to be, this is a strength because, or this is a weakness because. This is a strength because researchers studied how memory changes due to a presumed schema intervention or introduction, you can say. Or let's say intervention. So change was a central part of the research investigation. Now, to link this back to the larger concept of change, therefore, or that is why this shows that something like that, we can conclude of this point before moving to the next one. Therefore, the concept of change was an integral part of this investigation. So that's it for this video. I hope this video has been useful to you. Any feedback you want to give about this video, positive or negative, you can leave it in the comments box below. Please do not contact me personally for these videos. I will not be able to answer on my WhatsApp number, on my email ID. Any comments you have about the videos, you can leave them in the comments box below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with the next video, which is going to be on measurement, and that will be followed by perspective and responsibility. So all of these concepts we are going to cover for this situation. Stay tuned for that, and until then, keep practicing what we have done till now. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.